Hello everyone, it's that time again. A new year, new promises from Zos. Are they going to follow through this time, or is it going to be another year of letdown and false promises? I want to take you back on a recap of 2022 and what we've been told moving onwards into 2023. I'm going to summarize my own thoughts, which may echo some opinions of other creators and players who've spoken on the subject, and perhaps some of my own opinions will differ on that matter. So the real question is, how did ESO do in 2022? And my opinion on that matter is just meh. From the awful launches of Update 36, to the lackluster content that we were given in that year, to the downright awful and cringeworthy things we've seen the developers and PR teams do last year. I can't say that I was that impressed. When the High Isle chapter was announced, the story of the legacy of the Bredens sounded like a very intriguing move. It was a step away from Daedric Prince this, vampire, etc. evil creature here. Storylines Zos had grown very comfortable to in the last few years. I personally applaud them for moving away from that direction, taking a step away from it. But after playing through the storyline of High Isle, it's genuinely rather painful. I honestly hated it. The characters are acceptable. Zos tries to bank off of the returning characters like they do every year. This year there was Zaji and Casca, very good characters. A lot of people like them. But bringing them back through every single, DLC to get into something new, it gets a little bit old. Anyhow, the storyline of High Isle felt like it was written by a high schooler, maybe even younger than that. And I say that because you eventually find yourself in a cavern that holds the Ascendant Lord's armor, and a journal that explicitly states he is the Ascendant Lord. And if you don't know who the Ascendant Lord is, you haven't played through High Isle yet, this will be your spoiler. Click ahead if you don't want to hear about it. But Lord Bacaro is the Ascendant Lord. And this cavern you're in is basically like a giant basement for him. You run up to his armor and you see his journal, and your companion says, and I quote, "Why does Picaro have a set of the Ascendant Lord's armor? Is it seriously that complicated? Or are the writers just insinuating that all the players are idiots?" We could also talk for hours about the idea of the main feature of this new chapter being Tales of Tribute. The game itself lacks any bit of soul. I've played a lot of it more than I really should have, but it's given me, I would like to say, a fair opinion or a fair stance on how bad it is and how I can criticize it. So I'm not very tempted to pick it up ever. I usually play for the rewards. I'll do my daily quest for 3 of the games against other players, and that alone is usually enough to get me into the top 100. If I ever do start hitting a tribute kick, once you get up to that top 30 level, you're kind of playing people who play tribute all the time. And once you get into those people, your games will actually start getting complicated because they're more the sort that actually practice what they're doing. But I'm not tempted to play tribute because of just how boring the concept of it is. The rewards are alright at best. Sometimes you get a really nice motive for furnishing plan, but otherwise it's just garbage. Garbage that you could collect 10 times as fast on your own without having to play a card game. Now, I said right there I've been in the top 100 for a few seasons that I play, and whenever I actually try to focus on it a little bit more. But I genuinely can't recommend playing Tribute to anyone. It's not worth it. It's not that fun. I do it a little bit just to torture myself and for the rewards, but other than that, why would you even bother? It's not fun. Now, last but not least, we should cover the Update 36 launch, which by all means was an absolute disaster on PC. There was constant crashing that led a lot of people I know personally to take a break from the game. And the issue was remedied somewhat by turning off a single add-on. Now, for some people, that worked, but not everyone. I still knew people who crashed consistently, who couldn't stop their crashing. Some people I know weren't able to actually play the game for weeks because of this. I remember personally, I was trying to finish a quest up in Stormhaven, and I had to run up a hill for this. I crashed 4 times, about 10 minutes, trying to run up and get into that, quest objective on top of the hill. And that's when I found out I could just turn off an add-on and fix my crashing. Now, this helped a little bit as a medium. I crashed a little bit less, but the crashing was still something that wasn't patched into the game yet. We could also mention how ZOS has broken blocking over the past few updates. And it's just one thing I don't even like getting into because it's just such a dumb thing to break. They keep trying to fix it and then they somehow break it another way. You're talking about spaghetti code from a really old game here. Somebody's got to get in there and kind of get a hold on this and fix it. Another thing we could address is the Q&A that they promised at the beginning of 2022 and then it just never happened. We could talk about the state of PvP, no new content, infested by ball groups running around spamming 20 million cross heals all day. It's not been a great year for ZOS. It just really wasn't. 2022 just wasn't their year at all. So, that leads me to 2023. What is the outlook of things going forward for the Elder Scrolls Online? A new developer letter says they're planning on moving away from the chapter-style releases, taking a whole year to tell a story and mixing up the content, and I think that was a good idea. The past few chapters like Blackwood and High Isle were mediocre at best, and that sets the bar pretty low for an upcoming failure. I mean, can they get worse? I almost don't want to ask that question because I don't want to see what's worse than High Isle. I don't. But by the end of the month, they've stated they're going to do their global reveal. This being, I believe, January 31st. I'm going to likely make another video along the time with my thoughts and predictions from what I see in that reveal. But I wanted to make this video just to give my current thoughts on how Elder Scrolls Online is going to perform in the next year without hearing anything from ZOS just yet. And the answer to that is I'm very cautiously optimistic. I don't actually believe ZOS wants their game to crash and burn. I don't think many developers genuinely want that at all. But likewise, due to their history with the game, especially in the past few years, I'm not expecting the changes that they're going to make this year to be life-changing. This may potentially start a good direction for ESO, moving away from the previous formulas that have extracted the vitriol from the community. Just from the poor design and the thoughts being put forward by the developers and how they try to double down on everything they do. And hey, I completely understand many things get in the way from concept to final product. A lot of things are going to happen, whatever they announce, to what we get. But at the end of the day, all of us players are the end user. We are only going to be able to judge the content we are given versus what we were promised that we were going to be given. So what does this mean as we're jumping into 2023? It means I think that there's hope for the Elder Scrolls Online. While the track record is awful in the past few years, decisions they've made in those few years have been downright abysmal, I still think there's time to turn this ship around before it sinks. If you're a new player looking to get into ESO, or even a veteran learning to return, I think 2023 is going to be a good year for all of us. Even if that change is slow, I think it's going to be so far that the changes might end up being good. That's all I wanted to say about this for the state and the future of ESO for right now. I hope you all have a good day or night. Leave a like, drop a comment telling me what you think about how the game's doing. As always, drop a subscribe if you want to see more of my content. Goodbye for now.